In this video, I'm going to go over a feature in Illustrator, which is also available in InDesign, by the way, that will take everything that you used in your document and package it into one folder for you. So in the past, we have talked about at least two ways to share your actual Illustrator file. You can give the entire folder that you're working on to the person to share it, but you have to be careful that everything is actually there inside the folder. Then you make a copy of the artboards, label those copies as outlined, and then outline the fonts in those artboards. Then make an all-in-one Illustrator document is a second way to share the Illustrator file, and in that one you similarly outline the fonts, and then you also have to embed all of the attached documents such as images. And we talked about the pros and the cons to that, and this one is that you do have to have everything in the same folder. It's easy to forget and just send the Illustrator file only. Outlined fonts are problematic because if you have to make a spelling change or something like that, it's just not possible. This method where you put everything into one is not the greatest because it increases your file size, especially if you're working on multiple versions, multiple documents. Each one of those grows by all the images that you embed, and you still have the same problem with the fonts. So there is a third way to do this, and that is the file package command in Illustrator and InDesign. There's very few cons to this method. Probably the biggest gap or time constraint issue in here is that the end user that you give the packaged folder to would have to upload your fonts onto their machine if they do not have them. And not only that, just because you give someone the fonts doesn't mean that their machine will accept them. The biggest issues are going from a PC to a Mac. There could even be problems with operating system differences. For this reason, when we do this in this class, we will still do the duplicate artboards, label the artboard as outlined, and outline the fonts, just in case I couldn't put my fonts onto, or your fonts onto my machine. Now, why would I have you do this? The biggest reason is usually if you're working on something for the college, or maybe a contest or something like that, where there's a chance that, say, some part of your document might have to change. Just a couple examples would be if it's a flyer for something and the dates change. This way I could go in and edit. Now, if I don't have your fonts, we still have an issue there where I might have to change the fonts around if I had to change the dates, if I couldn't, get in touch with you before that event for the flyer that you designed was about to be printed. Other cases would be if I had to go in and adjust, say, the brightness of your image because it's coming out too dark for the print that we need. But anyway, there you go. So now we're going to go through how to do this. And let me tell you, the most often reason that you would do this method would be sending your work to a professional printing facility. So you do want to go in, clean up your document first, and then again for our class we are going to outline or make an outlined artboard. So let's go ahead and do an example of that. So here's a pretend project. So first thing we would do in our case, now you may not do this if you're working with a professional printer, and either way, if it's your first couple times with that printer, you're going to be in contact with them hopefully before they print, so you can make sure they've got what they need. But there's our copy. I'm going to go up over the top of that one and label that as outlined. Maybe even, since it's for somebody else in this example, I might say outline fonts just to make it really clear. Then I'm going to make sure everything is locked from going up to object, seeing if unlock all is available, checking the layers to see if anything's locked, and then I'm going to grab all the fonts on this document, go to type, create outlines. All right, so now I have that issue taken care of, and now the next thing to do, take one last look around, make sure there's nothing here that's not supposed to be printed that could maybe confuse my printer or my professor, and then go File, Package. This is as simple and as beautifully, simply elegant as it gets. File, Package. Document must be saved for continuing, so I will say, all right, go ahead, save it, which is probably, yeah, doing right now. Okay, and then it says location. Where do you want this to go? So I'm going to choose a location on my computer to put it, and I guess downloads is fine. I can just go retrieve it from there, but if it was an important project for a client, it's probably going to have a spot, maybe even on my desktop. Name of the folder, the default name of the folder is starts out with the name that you saved your file as the last time, and then underscore folder. Okay, and then your options. Do you want to copy links? Yes, we do. We want all the photographs copied. And I can't emphasize how beautiful this command is in that you could have this Illustrator document where you're pulling images from a totally different file in your computer. Like maybe you are really organized and you keep all your photographs separate that you could use for projects. And then you have the stuff that you're working on for clients in another location. When you do this, it will take all of those and move them into one folder. Collect links in a separate folder, sure, why not? More organized, and then relink to that separate folder, yes, please. Copy fonts, and it says accept Adobe fonts and non-Adobe CJK fonts. And basically what they're saying there is they don't copy their own fonts because the idea is you're a professional designer, your printer has your commercial printer is paying for the Adobe software, so that stuff is just available to you automatically from the Adobe Creative Cloud. And then create a report. That's a little document in there that you, if this is indeed going to a printer, that you can make a little note to the printer. So I'll leave that checked just so you can see that. And then we click package, and then it talks about the fact that you can't just share fonts with people. That's not legal because if they're not included in your software or you paid for it and they didn't, not supposed to do that. So we click OK to that. And package created successfully. View the package contents. Press OK. Okay, so now we are going to go to the package and make sure that everything we were expecting to be there is there. So I'm going to navigate to that, and there we go. There's our folder that was created. I'm going to double click to go inside of it, and we can see there has been a new folder inside of that folder called fonts, one called links. It's made another copy of the AI file, and remember that it made this AI file so that it would link to these linked documents. Now I only have one linked document in here, which was a photograph. And then if I show you what's in the fonts, you can see that it made a copy of Garamond, which was my body copy. It made a copy of Helvetica, which was the headline text. And then unknowingly, I used Myriad here where it says outline fonts. So it even made a copy of Myriad. And then just probably a good way to double check this would be to close this file that's open, go back to the folder, and then open up the new folder that's there. Make sure that it recreates it by putting the image where it's supposed to go. Now, at this point, you're ready to give this folder over to your printer, in my example, or your professor. And for our class, just for the possibility that we might save a little bit more file space, we are going to right-click on this image and select compress. And that will give us a zip file that might save us a couple bits here and there. And then this is the file that you would turn in to me. Now for our class, we will name these as the norm, last name, underscore, first name, um, being your last name, first name, and then a description, so whatever the name of the project was, and then of course the extension in this case would be zip. And that's what you'd give me, and that should be it.